Hey everyone, and welcome back to the R Programming for Beginners series. Now, in the last episode, that is episode 5, we explored vectors, one of the most fundamental data structures in R. And we saw how vectors are used to store multiple values together. And an important thing to note about vectors is that a vector stores values of the same data type. But what if you want to store different types of data together? Let's say a number, some text, some logical values, or even other vectors, all in one place. Well, that's where lists come in. And in today's episode, we're going to be diving into lists. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So what is a list? A list is like a container where you can store different types of objects together. Well, it can hold numbers, it can hold character data as well, it can hold logical data, and it can also hold vectors and other lists, all in one place. You can think of it like a shopping basket. You don't fill it with only apples, you can drop in bread, milk, eggs, whatever you want, and that is the case with lists. So, now that you have a basic idea about what lists are, let's see how can we create a list. Well, inside R, you can create a list with the help of the list function. So the function list and then the types of, or let's say the list of values that you want to create a list with inside the parentheses creates a list. Here we have created list with the list function, and inside it we put a number and a character value which is noted by R, then a true or false value which is a logical value, and a vector called, well, it's not called anything, it's a vector of 1, 2 and 3 as well. Notice that we don't have any requirements for them to match. And that is what makes lists extremely powerful. Well, now that we know about the theory of creating a list, let's actually create a list inside our R compiler. So, inside it, we'll create a list called myList, and then an arrow symbol, and then the list function, and inside the values. So first of all, let's store a 10, and then a string value of R, then a boolean, or let's say a logical value, or true, and then a vector. So 1, 2, and 3. Now let's print out our list. So my list, and let's run, and it will give you an output of the list. Now, instead of the usual output, I know there are 2 square brackets and then a single square bracket, then our actual item, then 2 square brackets, the index position of 2, and then the actual item. Well, this is because of the list's nature in R. The double square brackets that you see in the output are R's way of showing the structure of the list. They label each element of the list. Since this element, that is 10, is stored at the index position of 1, it has 1. Similarly, R has 2, and inside it, it is stored at the second position, and same for true and C, 3 and 4. And let me tell you, these are sublists on their own. And we'll actually discuss more upon this in the later topic, that is accessing list elements. But for now, let's know, why does R love lists? So why does R love lists? Lists appear everywhere in R, in regression models, in summaries, in data frames, you name it. Whenever R needs to return a lot of information with different data types, it packs everything neatly into a list, like this. So, learning about lists early is essential, because later you'll be extracting data from lists non-stop. So, to know more about lists, let's talk about accessing list elements. In R, you have 2 ways of accessing a list element. Technically, it's one way to access the actual element and another way to access a sublist. First, we have the single bracket. Using a single bracket followed by an index position on a list returns a sublist. So, my list with the square bracket 1 would return a sublist which contains the first element inside the list. Next is the double bracket. The double bracket returns the actual value of the list. So, if we do double bracket, it would return the actual element. So, let's see our first element in the previous slide, or let's say our example was 10. Doing my list and then double bracket 1 would actually return 10, but doing my list with a single bracket and 1 would return a sublist which contains the value of 10. So that is the key difference. The single bracket gives you a smaller list, like taking a box but not opening it, while the double bracket, or let's say the double square bracket, opens the box and actually gives you the object that is inside it. And you will see this everywhere in our scripts. And now you know exactly why. So let's try this inside of our compiler, shall we? So with our previous output, let's try to access the first element of our list, but with a single bracket. So it should return you a sublist. So gives a sublist. And let's run. And you can see that it gives you a sublist, and inside it there is the value of 10. But what if we do my list and then double square brackets and 1? So this will give us the actual value. Now let me comment this line entirely and then run. You can see that only the value is outputted when we use the double brackets and not a sublist, which is symbolized by the use of these two square brackets. This is a sublist and this is a value. So I hope accessing the actual index elements is clear for you guys. Now let's move on to a very important topic, that is named lists. Now just like variables have names, list elements can have names too, and that is where named lists come in. Now named lists makes data extraction so much clearer. Now when we have a named list, it has a name for each list value. So if our first element was Sam, it has a name for it, which is name exactly. And 21 has a name called age, and this collection, or let's say a vector, has a name called skills. These are the names, and these are the actual elements on the other side of the equals to sign. So how would you access them? We have three ways. One is by using the dollar sign. Person, dollar sign, person is the name of the list, and dollar sign name would give us Sam. Next up, we have the double bracket. Writing the name of the list, that is person, and then double brackets, and inside quotes, the name of the value that you want to access. In this case, let's say we want to access the value of 21. What name does it have? It has the name of age. So if we put age inside quotes, inside the double brackets, it would give us 21. And the next and final way is actually using single brackets in this time as well. Doing person and then single brackets and then the name of the value that you want to access would not give you the actual value. In our case, this would not give us the actual vector which contains R, Python, and SQL. It returns a sublist like in our previous case because of the single bracket rule. So as a recap, the single bracket returns a sublist, the double bracket returns an actual value, and using the dollar sign and then followed by the name gives us the actual value as well, and this is easy direct access since you don't have to type out two brackets. Now let's try to access values of a named list inside of our R. So we have a named list that has the value of name Sam, age 21, and skills, and then a vector of skills. So let's first of all type out, let's say I want to access the name, so let's say person and then dollar sign and the name. Let's see what it returns. It returns us the actual name. And the same with square brackets. If we use square brackets and then wrapped the name inside of quotes, which is a bit tedious, but it gets the same job done, what would happen? Once again, it would give us the actual element. So we can see from this that just using a dollar sign and using the actual name of the value will give us results much quicker. So this is much quicker than typing out two brackets. And let's see what a single bracket would give us. So if we do single bracket and then name, it would actually give us a sublist of Sam. So I hope accessing named list elements is clear for you guys as well. And that was it for this video. Let's have a quick summary of what we learned today. So as a recap of today's topics, these are the topics that we learned today. We learned how to create lists with the list function and learned that lists can hold values of different data types like this. This is the number, this is a character, and this is a logical data type. And yes, we learned that lists can store mixed data, and we learned the difference between using a single bracket and using a double bracket while accessing the list element. That is, the single bracket returns us a sublist, and using double brackets gives us the actual value. And then finally we learned about named lists as well and how you can access those values of the named lists. And that was it for this video. That brings us to the end of episode 6. You now understand lists, what they are, how they're used, and how to extract values from them clearly. And in the next episode, we continue our journey into data structures as we dive into matrices and arrays. unlocking R's power for working with multidimensional data. So I hope you tune in for that, and if you like the video or found the video helpful, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more such videos. And until the next episode, bye bye and happy coding.